So guys, off to Ayr today. It's my first repeat tournament vlog. No talking about this time trying to make barbecues and going to the vets and that. It's straight into it. So here's some Lord of the Rings right here. I've made this display board for Stuart's Last Alliance. I'm a bit annoyed at Games Workshop. I ordered the Mortian Earth, the black crackle paint, which to me, I was going to put it along the edge to make it all look crusty, but it's not arrived. But it's about a week ago and I ordered next day delivery and it's still not arrived. And I also phoned or tried 3 Games Workshops and they either didn't have it in stock or didn't bother to answer my phone calls. I do actually have some of the brown crackle paint, so I tried that on a base and painted black over it and dry brushed it and it looked excellent. But when I went to do it on the real board, it just looked like I'd put jobby in the lava. It just looked absolutely disgusting. So I had a bit of a panic attack trying to get that ready because I peeled it all. I ended up accidentally peeling all the lava off. It was just an absolute disaster. So I had to redo it all at like 12 o'clock last night. Just an absolute nightmare. But we've got there in the end, and I think I'm glad I made the mistake because I filled the thing fully out. It was only down the middle because I was going to do the crackle paint, but now I think it looks okay, even if I can't get any crackle paint down in there. So chuffed with that. I'll maybe do if people are interested, I'll do a video on how I made my lava and all that and the base. But yeah, let's go. See you later, big man. Huh? Gonna miss me? Backpack. Bag. Someone else's bag. Lord. I feel like fucking Mary Poppins here. Jesus Christ. We're going on an adventure. No one's ever made that joke before. Right, let's go. Hello there. So thankfully this time Stuart was lovely enough to give me a lift, so I didn't need to get a train down to Ayr. It's only about 40 minutes in the car, so it's quite a local tournament, which is great. Only one quick stop for some hangover cures for the next day. We have to pregnancy test. Right. In case I get pumped. I'll need some Vaseline as well for.
No, we're going dry. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Hangover.
Hydration treatment.
Perfect for your wee hangover. Fantastic. Met up with everyone outside the shop for a quick bit of breakfast. Oh, where'd you get that? I'm getting one of them.
See, because it was so fucking
Why are you eating a cheeseburger at fucking 10 in the morning?
Why did you order a cheeseburger at 10 o'clock in the morning?
I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
I got a bacon roll.
Oh, did you?
A normal thing.
Shit.
Yep.
You're in the book.
You just fucking.
You're in the book.
No,
On pop or something.
well, wait, remember, so watching in the water.
Thomas, is that a watching in the water outfit?
This is fucking Urukai, get it up, you cunt! These guys should really don't fucking sniff like that. Turns the truth.
What's your terrifying
Ah, bastard! We'll see who forgets the rules of days, a bunch of cunts. Yeah, I'm about to go to an event, play some pussy elf players, some fucking wanky Rohan players.
Hello, pussy elf playing over here.
My list is that egregious, it needs a fucking toolbox.
Should do a video. I'm just here before the battle of Helm's Deep. Just sparking up a wee fag. I told I had to stand away from the rest of the boys.
I had a chat with Treebeard and he's seen that I'm turning a new leaf.
Referee! Welcome to the amphitheatre. I've won then 2023. Nice to see you. Obviously, we've got the first round match up online. We've got the first scenario, which is the Command the Battlefield. There's 4 games today, so we're going to have to sort of battle through them. Obviously, it's 2 350s, 2 650s. So I think the first round's an hour and 15 minutes. I'll come round and give you all a 10-minute warning before the game's weekend. Hope you all have fun and lunch is later as well.
Injury vlogging! How the fuck do you do that? You lose a fight with a wall?
I didn't actually run into a
Alright.
Before going in and setting up and getting ready for game 1. For Ayr, it's an escalation tournament, 350 points, 650 points, 950 points. So for this tournament I've decided to go full theme. As there's a big night out planned, I wanted to get something that I could just throw at the board and not have to worry about it next day. So the theme for this list is based on the Pelennor Fields. When Aylmer gets surrounded and cut off, Prince Imrahil charges out to save him with all his knights, along with Forlong the Fat and Herluin the Fair. Herluin is the leader of Penithgelin, and you can see I'm using the green knight for him. I'll be using Boromir's profile for him. When I do this in the future, I will convert up lots of Minas Tirith knights to be green to match his colours. I think that will look really good. My captain of the Lamroth that I take at 950 is also representing Imrahil's daughter, Lothril. So the first 2 games at 350, we start off with Imrahil, 5 knights of the Lamroth, and Forlong. I was due to play Azog's Legion first game, and I was quite excited for that. I thought it'd be a good matchup. But unfortunately, my opponent dropped out of the tournament, and I ended up having to play the Dragon Emperor. Don't think I could have asked for a worse matchup, but it's kind of what I deserve for what I said last night on the stream.
3 Dragon M's. Your favourite guy.
Yeah, well, we're just going to do a little bit. I did a little bit of analysis, some deep dive here. And if we go into this next graph, there's 3 Dragon Emperors. Let's see the correlation. Let's see if people can work it out.
That's it.
Stats don't lie.
I don't know if I agree with this.
That's because you're an
I took this
sex
I took
offender.
this in the last video, so that's not very nice. Why don't you get that back? Well, get it back.
Just people can work out. Stats don't lie, mate. 60% of the time it's right 80% of the time. Maelstrom deployment meant that I came on next to this rather phallic looking pile of smoke. The Dragon Emperor also rolled a 1, so I decided to kind of just chase down this captain and try and get the jump on him next turn. Unfortunately, I lost the roll off for the move, so he managed to get away, and the Dragon Emperor came on behind me.
If you pardon the pardon.
So my plan was just charge and hope for the best. I thought I would be able to kill his captain with 2 of my knights because I get the lance bonus. I debated a long time about putting both my heroes into the Emperor and just hoping to win the strike off, but I didn't, and I would end up regretting that. I put Forlong into the Emperor only to try and hold up the Emperor and drain a load of his might. This meant Imrahil would be able to strike up and win the fights later on. So the scenario was command the battlefield, so my 2 knights that were fighting the captain were going to be the ones that would just ping off and go to 2 different corners after killing him. Managed to kill the captain's horse and knock him prone next turn. Forlong also lost his horse, but was able to hold up the Emperor for a good few turns. Imrahil killed quite a few guys himself, but unfortunately it just wasn't enough. All my knights sadly started to fall. Then, absolute fucking disaster. His captain stood up, charged my 2 knights, and chopped both their heads off.
Oh well. That makes up for...
Yeah. Is that your one model that's just pissing about, yeah?
He's dead.
Oh, he's dead. So that's... You're broken then?
Yeah. These 2 were supposed to be the 2 that were going to go off and capture the different areas of the battlefield, but unfortunately the captain chibbing both of them in one turn absolutely ruined my chances of winning this game. I know I shouldn't have got my hopes up because it is such a hard matchup, but I was starting to think that maybe I could pull this one off until the captain just whipped those 2 guys' heads off, but that's the dice for you. Then my plan had actually worked, and Forlong had managed to get all the might out of the Emperor, and I believe 1 fate as well. But it wasn't enough, as because Forlong and this last knight died, Imrahil was the only one on the board, and the game ended before I even got a chance to put him into the Emperor. So I unfortunately lost this first game. At least I could say I got to play on the top table for 1 game. So a quick chat with all the other people to see how they'd done in their games before moving down to table 10.
Fuck off.
Did you get banned?
Fuck off, man. 33 times doing Delver.
Casper, let me just shite a rolling dice.
I knew dice, like.
I gave you new dice, man. I gave you charged dice.
When's the channel doing some dice? I'll get some dice. You charge
I want some Shagger dice, but I emailed a company and they didn't respond.
Didn't respond to nonsense. That footage in the bin there, like.
edit that. Some B-roll, 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 B-roll. Aye, fellow table tens. So, after calling everybody that played the Dragon Emperor sex offender, game 2. Got the number 2 sex offender in Scotland.
I'm number 1 contender for the first sex offender in Scotland. I'm getting there.
Right. Big trial.
Proud of me, eh? Good luck.
So, game 2. It was upon us. Dragon Emperor, a fucking gain. This time, as I regretted putting Imrahil and Forlong into the Emperor last time, I decided this turn I was just going to go straight in with both of them and hope that I won the roll off. Even with the Elven Blade, I still thought this was my best chance at a win. Go hard or go home. That's the whole point of me taking this list. So, apart from my knight on the far right, all the rest of them managed to get chipped up by the Easterlings. I do have a sneaky knight going round the other side of the building, but you can't see him in this photo. So he's going to try and sneak up and get his objective while we have this big Rami in the middle here. But it was now finally time for the last big combat, and with all my eggs in this basket, fingers crossed we win the roll off.
That's so stupid.
Right.
A couple of strike-offs here.
Right, so I'm going to strike with Imrahil and I'm going to do strength with Imrahil. I'll just roll it.
What are you even
So I
rolling?
got fuck. So I got strength 6. So it doesn't do any. So that was a
That
waste of
was
night.
absolute genius.
So you need
I won a 5 and a 6.
Yeah, it is.
Do I go for a break?
You want it in there?
Aye, in the few moments later. At the pub. I actually feel my heart going. Right, roll off an elven spear. Screaming.
It worked!
That should never happen. Fucking hell.
The party needs 4s, rerolling 1s.
I did this like strength.
I did strength as well. What's strength for you?
I've done nothing to him.
Up to 6.
Ah, still 4.
He's got my D3 strength, now you know.
And then 4s as well.
So that'll be 5s in Imrahil. Rerolling 1s and every 1.
Depends what you're going for. You're just going for
Imrahil
the...
got strength 4, party strength
Oh, he's
6.
strength 7.
Yeah. All in the Emperor, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, that's fucking terrible, but I get
Reroll
rerolls.
1s.
Oh, it's 3 wounds. 3 wounds. Oh, well, I've got a might. That's a 4.
Got a knight, you can make it 4 wounds.
Yeah. And yeah.
Yeah. 4 wounds.
Yeah, I'm doing it. Fuck it.
4 wounds.
This tournament is cursed. 33 wounds into Elbow and they're on 260. That, fucking, the stupid camera on and off. It was like Francis Bourgeois. So 4 up. 4 up. If I was playing another game, 4 ups if you asked, like 4 up.
That's 4, passes 2, does 2 wounds, you get 1 wound left.
But yes, but importantly I have a might. So I take all my fate is gone.
Worth a shot.
That's well worth a shot. A kind of wee bit lucky there, I guess, but like, it's still a bit shit at the same time. How about you, mate? Fucking hell, it's first turn.
Go hard or go home, mate. That's the fucking.
Priority, mate.
Over to you.
Unfortunately, I didn't get enough wounds on the Emperor. 1 more wound and I would have killed him, and I think I would have had the game. But unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. My plan now was to sweep round and try and stop his army being able to go back to his objective to allow my one boy here to sneak up and take it. It's really annoying that you have to dismount to take it, and it also ends your movement. Sadly, Forlong lost his horse and Imrahil was unable to win the second strike. It would have been absolutely mental if I won 2 of those in a row. Didn't mean I was able to hold up the Emperor and all these guys though for an extra turn while I went and got his objective. Right after that, I was able to pick up the objective while Forlong held up the Emperor for another turn. Unfortunately, he fell this turn and I only had 2 knights left, putting me under the 50%. So I think I played an absolute blinder here. I had wounded his leader. I had broke myself, however I did have my model on his objective and he was at least 3 turns off getting onto mine. So would the dice gods bless me and continue for another 2 turns so I could get the objective into my half and win the game.
See if the game ends.
Aye! Oh, you fucking dirty bastard.
Aye, isn't it?
Yeah.
He got to it and couldn't even move it.
Fucking. This army's a pile of shit. Who wrote this list? Fucking Jamie.
So, yeah, wasn't meant to be. The game ended, so I couldn't get the objective into my half and win. Utter horse shit, in my opinion. So I managed to lose to 2 sex offenders in a row. Kinda serves me right for what I was saying on the stream. But I was able to drown my sorrows in an absolutely fantastic lunch. A soup and a sandwich. So after 2 big losses, it was time to get in the old submarine.
Aye, sir, pass you the word. Dive, dive, dive.
Wee bit of deployment here. Forlong and the Green Knight is Bozza. Harlow the fair. Wee bit of theminess.
So, game 3 was on us, and I was up against Adam's lovely blue Mordor. Decided to go with my age-old tactic of charge and hope for the best. And in this game, it was absolutely working for me. I just seemed to kill his entire front rank in like 1 turn. Forlong and Bozza just chopping apart orcs, along with my cav. It was great. Furlong's horse got black darted on the way in. This was a bit unfortunate, but at least Harlowin retained his horse. So then on to turn 2. Unfortunately this turn Harlowin also lost his horse to Black Dart, but luckily they still have the hitting power to kill a couple of orc Morannons. This turn was probably the one that kinda decided the game. Forlong was able to cut through the orcs and get into Cardouche. So it came down to the roll-off and I was the lucky one, so I was able to put Imrahil and 2 knights into the Witch King. I had the higher fight value, so I won the fight and proceeded to kill the Witch King in 1 turn, as I believe Adam got really unlucky with his fate rolls. Forlong with that and Harlowin then chopped apart Cardouche.
That's a wound. And what defence are you? It depends, because
I am defence.
Because Forlong is strong as fuck.
Defence.
So, if I use a point of might to kill you?
Yeah.
Okay, use a point of might.
You use a point of might
Yep.
to kill me.
Yep.
Well, I'll use my feet.
Oh, okay.
I fail.
Oh my god. Well, Forlong's out of might at least. Have you passed a single fate roll?
And we had a heroic combat off here at the bottom. The Witch King was trying to combat to get into Cardouche. Feeling quite confident at this point. It was Lords of Battle, which I forgot to mention, so I'd killed an absolute ton of his army to not many kills in return. His only big hero left was Shaggers. So the next turn was really just a kind of mop-up exercise. So I ended up getting my first win in this game. I do think I got really lucky with the scenario and the matchup. I had a little bit of a chance to walk about and have a look at all the lovely games on display.
You bullying the new player, Stuart? Is he bullying you?
Game so far.
Take it you're winning then. Six defender.
Best defender I won ever.
Against in the first game, he struck the 6 twice.
Rocking!
Are you?
So your Boromir's got 2 6s. Defense 9.
Defense 9, 6 and 4.
1 1.
How's it going? You winning?
It's going brilliant. Good game so far.
Just blowing things up. It looks like it's about to nail something. Oh wow, that's a Lake Town scrimmage. Survivors versus Town.
At the moment, the peasants are getting
Just having a rammy over the food and supplies.
It's the uprising.
Galadriel and
Galadriel versus Hilda. The battle of the ages.
Close game. Middles of Iron.
We can go through it.
Mark's having a really fun game.
Are you?
Loads of battle.
First. Absolute shit.
Smelly heroes. Fucking hell.
Oh, you got Burger as well? Oh, that's you.
Is that your movement done? Yes.
The rammy, if that's right.
Just gonna be a wee bit annoying. Just because you can't off now. Right, we can go.
Oh, there's that fucking sex offender.
It's getting shagged.
Good.
Before getting into Game 4. So, Game 4 was capture and control. I was initially drawn versus Thomas and his Urukai. However, every time I get drawn against Thomas, there's always a redraw, and I ended up getting Survivors of Lake Town. So I went from a decent matchup to one that's probably unwinnable. You'll never guess what my tactic was this game. Yes, that's right. Charge in and die. I was up against Ian's amazing Survivors of Lake Town army. My plan was to try and capture as many of the objectives I can and just charge in and die, perhaps trying to get a leader kill, then praying the game ended before the horde of homeless people could swarm over me and take over all the objectives. I wasn't sure I could win this matchup, but I was really hoping to retain as many VPs as I could. Unfortunately, I think I messed up. I didn't put enough guys in the middle to block this objective, so he was able to push through after killing the majority of my knights. Herluin sadly did fuck all because he lost his horse on the way in on the first turn. A knight did manage to kick Bilbo in the face, which was quite funny, but apart from that, it was pretty much an absolute shagging. Unfortunately, the game did not end when I needed it to.
That's the game, man. I'm ready.
Doesn't it end, mate?
Oh, fucked. Well, there go any VPs.
I don't think there was any point I was winning, but I think we calculated that it would have been 7-5 or 7-4, so I would have retained a good amount of VPs. So I slowly got swept off the table, and the horde of homeless people moved up the board and captured all the objectives, and I just didn't have the models to respond at all. Herluin was eventually brought down by a load of homeless people, and then it was up to Imrahil holding this field surrounded on all sides. He was hacking them apart, but unfortunately, eventually I didn't get a 6, and he was torn to shreds by a bunch of pitchfork wielding jakies. Despite getting absolutely spiked, it was still a fun game, watching my knights fucking run down a load of homeless people. Felt like we were reenacting Braveheart, where a bunch of homeless guys with sticks beat up a bunch of armoured knights. Despite the fact of only going away with one win, I did think that my first 2 games I could have won if the circumstances had been a little bit different and the dice had been a bit more favourable. I just felt like the matchups were against me because I was using this stupid list, but it was still good fun. And that's all I was aiming for this tournament, because it was time to head off to the restaurant and go for a couple of swallies.
B-roll, B-roll. Fuck off.
Oh, watch it for that step there, mate.
That's a bin, you
Oh,
twat.
no, the bin there, watch it for that bin. I know, do you like the place is home? Fucking mad bin.
Fuck, I came out of nowhere.
Biffer over your mom.
Bogies. Get it for the vlog. The fuck is my
Subscribe to his YouTube channel, J-Max Zombies in the
Are you a warner?
Talks about all things.
Don't do it.
I don't know what I'm doing.
You'll be severely disappointed.
You might see some footage for your pops.
What is that? Dave, what is that?
Nah, it's a fireball. No.
It's a whiskey and...
Ah, it's a whiskey and apples. It's like a snack bag.
J-Max Armies of Middle-earth! Vlogging!
You need some paper.
What? Oh, what's that?
He always does this.
That's fine. It had to end the night with something on him.
Oh, she's ruined their night.
Well, there's no fucking moon. Camden. Bucky, we check your button. Cam. Bucky, we check your cunt, mate. Wee lamb's rum. A fucking pirate's rum.
Yeah.
Wee pirate drink. Yeah, boy. Yeah. This is a bad one. I'm never drinking again. Oh my god.
Did you drink too much of this?
I thought I was full when we...
What's that?
Maybe sick, man.
Good night.
So, needless to say, I didn't get much footage taken on day 2 as I was absolutely in the bin, so let's get straight into game 5. I've got the Dragon Emperor again, just what I wanted for a nice wee hangover. Go to a tournament and half your games are fucking Dragon Emperor. Happy fucking days. At least we were up to 950 points and playing Assassination, so it kinda was a bit more in my favour than the last 2 games. I chose one of his Dragon Knights on foot to be my target, as they don't have any fate, and I was going to take Bozza as my assassin, as he has 6 might, so I could easily, hopefully, use my 6 might to chop him to bits. Basically went for my age-old tactic of charge and hope for the best, and this time it kinda went well for me. Josh ended up pulling back to try and get a better position so he wouldn't get charged turn 1, but unfortunately it kinda ended up splitting his army, which ended up being a good advantage to me. Also, he charged Furlong with his Dragon Knight, which was my target, so that was quite nice, as Furlong is quite good at killing things. Unfortunately, the dice had betrayed Josh, and Furlong managed to just chop his head off, thus getting me all the victory points for killing my target. Unfortunately, as it wasn't with Boz, I wouldn't get max points, but it was still a good help on the way to finishing this game. The fight 6 on the Knights with Bozza and Imrahil was also really key for breaking through the phalanx of the Easterlings. However, it was nearly turned a bit when Brogir came out and was tremoring my entire line of Knights. His tremor was dehorsing multiple Knights every turn, and it was really starting to worry me as my cavalry were kind of faltering a little bit. Bozza then managed to kill Rutabi, which was a huge help as her Master of Battle was an absolute nightmare to deal with. I was also getting quite lucky with the roll-offs as well. I was winning most of those, which meant my cav were getting the charges. Imrahil was just chopping through the troops to try and break him as fast as possible, as I knew I had to get the game to end before he was able to swarm my cavalry, as I didn't have the numbers to keep up with his massive infantry force. I got a lucky break. Imrahil was able to heroic combat into Brogir and kill him in 1 turn. I then pulled Furlong and Bozza back out of the fight, as I didn't really want them to lose and take any wounds in case they were the target. And luckily enough for me, the game eventually ended after this massive skirmish in the middle. At this point, a lot of my knights had been dehorsed, so I was very lucky that the game ended when it did, securing me the 2nd win of the tournament. This meant that I could finally go for a little sleep before lunch and best painted. The calibre of painting at this event was absolutely incredible. There was so many beautiful armies on display. And with the scores finally tallied, I was up against Nikki from Wookiees of Mirkwood. Go subscribe.
Subscribe to Wookiees of Mirkwood on Facebook.
Anyway, moving on, the last game it was Fog of War, the best scenario by far. I picked his terrain piece as my thing to capture. I wanted to kill his captain as he had deployed him in the front rank, and he was near the tree, and I wanted to protect Bozza, I think. I can't really remember. So I was up against the army of Dunland, very lovely painted. More homeless people to kick the shit out of my cavalry, could not wait for it. Especially with the strength 4, if I lost a fight, he was going to be killing my cav quite easily with the multiple attacks. At this point here, I was thinking that as his cav had come forward, this mountain here was probably his target, along with my captain, so I pulled my captain back with Furlong and a couple of knights to kind of regroup with my army and get ready for a big giant cavalry fight on the right. Unfortunately, in the shooting phase, he managed to take out Imrahil's horse with his measly archers. I find it strange in this game that a thrown rider is only on a 1, whereas in real life, if you fall off a horse, you're more likely going to be fucked than you are going to be okay, so I think it should only be a 6 where you're fine. I can't say it's very often I've seen people come off horses and be miraculously standing up on 2 feet. But anyway, enough of my stupid rants and back to the game. We had this massive cavalry fight on the right and I believe I could win this as I had 2 heroes in there and more cav. So the correct play at this point was for me to leave my cav outside the range of his army and fight this big giant cavalry battle on the side. However, that would be boring as fuck, and as I had a massive hangover, I kind of wanted to get this over with so I could go have another lie down. So I threw the rest of my cav forward into his giant battle line, because I wanted to reenact Braveheart again. I also didn't see the Seagulls of Death behind the big giant mountains, so they popped over and trapped Boromir. So as I kind of expected, a massive cavalry battle on the right kind of was swinging in my favour until a couple more homeless guys showed up and some pigeons. It was a really awesome sight seeing all these different cav fighting with fucking pigeons flapping about behind them. Then Nicky got his big Bookies of Mirkwood dice out for a strike off between Goroth and Boromir.
Yeah.
Don't let me down, Connor.
What are you doing? Oh, the Bookies.
Yeah.
Strike.
So,
Oh, I missed.
okay.
You sure?
Oh, you didn't say it.
I know. Oh.
Goes to the 10.
I know.
So,
you're fucking dice corner.
So Nicky won the strike off as I only managed to roll a 2, and luckily for me didn't do any wounds to Boromir. However, the fucking mad pigeons pecked Boromir's horse to death. Absolute realism in Middle-earth strategy battle game. Then it was over to the next turn, which was going to be a big prio so I could get my charges off with my knights.
A big smelly prio here.
Wow.
Oh, that's disgusting.
you can't win.
Shit!
Well, I think you might want to call
Something. Aye.
However, I was lucky enough to win the roll-off in the move. Frida was an absolute pain in the ass, her spear being able to turn off cavalry bonuses, so I threw Imrahil into her and hoped that he could kill her in one go. I didn't realise that she had heroic defence. If I'd known that, I would have maybe put him into these 2 guys and heroic combated into his captain, but it was not to be because I'm an idiot. I love how Frida is the only person in Middle-earth that's actually managed to learn how to use a spear properly. Surely all spears and pike blocks should have bonuses against cav, but hey ho. Anyway, it just turned into an absolute brawl. Whoever won the fight was generally killing, so stuff was just falling. It was awesome to watch. The knights around Bozza just died too fast and he got swarmed by pigeons and Goroth. However, his horn came in key and Goroth failed his courage test 2 turns in a row, which was absolutely impressive. I managed to get a wound on them each time. Unfortunately, Goroth passed his fate. Unfortunately, I then failed to win most of the roll-offs and he was able to get the traps and stuff on my cav, slowly picking me apart, pulling me out the saddle. I was trying desperately to get Imrahil into his captain, but it just wasn't to be. I also just couldn't get a knight into the tree because I just couldn't win a prio or a move at all. And as he had the numbers, he was able to stop everything from moving. And as I predicted, the cavalry battle on the right eventually kind of swung in my favour, killed Thryden and the majority of his knights, and kept my captain and Forlong alive. But instead of keeping my army back and waiting like a normal person, I'd charged them into the middle. I lost the hero I was trying to protect, and any kind of numbers that I needed to win the game. So after an amazing chibbing sesh, it was time to tally up the scores.
I have 3 points. Did you protect yours? You didn't?
No, Buzz died.
I didn't kill your target, you didn't kill my target. So no points scored there.
You got yours.
If you have more models than your opponent, so you have 1 model on it, so I only get 1 point.
Okay.
So I get to 4.
Broke me.
Then I broke you for 3. So 4, 5, 6. So it's 7 to nothing.
Good game, man. That was good fun.
An unnatural amount of 6s rolled in that game.
It's just not you can do it.
This guy here.
I think that as well. Like,
Oh yeah, that would have lost me that scenery piece.
there was just so many where like one guy was beat killing like
So I came away with only 2 wins and 4 losses, but I had an absolutely amazing weekend. The Air tournament is always just an absolute laugh. I absolutely cannot wait for the next one. Last year it was my first ever tournament vlog, so if you want to check out that one after this one, you can see how things have changed. From someone who is too scared to even film some of their games to absolutely harassing everyone at the tournament, things have come a long way. Sadly, it's not reflective of me growing as a player, as last year I was 6th, despite it being my first 2-day event, down to this year where I was... But anyway, a big congratulations to everyone that placed and got a prize at Air. The Air prizes are always top notch, so thank you for that, Jamie. So it's time to get in the car and head up the road and fight off the post-tournament blues. So while I'm doing that, I just want to thank everybody for watching and leaving comments and liking. And of course to my merry bunch of shaggers, you're absolutely fantastic. I love you all. The support you guys give me is absolutely incredible and it's much appreciated. I love you all. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember to give my bell a good old ring.
The idea, see for my event, they like a JizzCon t-shirt.
JizzCon t-shirt.
Prize, somebody can win.
I became
Got a Jizzy t-shirt I can give you. Handmade.
Oh, fucking hell.
Go for it. After you went for it. The Emperor strikes back. The Emperor strikes back. In so many ways, that's good.
Hey! You just ruined your good joke, mate. Yeah, fucking wow.
Good for a while.
Kit Kat.
I got a lot of water. It's not intelligent water, that's from the downside.
Was mine intelligent?
Aye, well,
Smart water! Smart water, smart electrolytes!
what does this do?
Depends, what we call this, impassable.